Networking, it does make a difference. So welcome to the show, everybody. And you know, we've been doing some networking in here already today. I am going to bring on my first guest who has someone with her. She's also been on my show now several times. This within the last few weeks here. I have with me Jennifer Stupski, and she is the owner of Legal Stuff. She also has with her her assistant. It's Laney Regina, and she's here also with her. We're live on Facebook, so everybody, hi out there, like us and follow us. We're going to be sharing the show in just a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about you because, you know, I think first of all, I love the way that you think about things and the way that you are as a person. You know, it's like you are unbelievably, first of all, an A personality. You've got everything under taking control, but at the same time, you're really laid back. That's why, I just take care of your legal stuff. That's why I love the name of your business. Welcome back to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what we're going to talk about today.
So I'm the owner of Legal Stuff. I'm a certified legal document preparer. I also specialize in estate planning, probates, real estate. We talk a lot about deeds, which we'll talk about next time I'm on. And so I'm not an attorney, but I cannot give you advice. So everything that we talk about obviously is for educational purposes. But we're going to talk about probates today.
And here's the thing that I want you to know about Jennifer, that you are a fiduciary. I want to talk about what makes you different. And because there's other people that do this. It's not that it's different, but you are different. Let's talk about that.
So my passion are my clients, the people. They're like family to me, whether I know them or not. And so as a fiduciary, that's my whole goal, is to act as if what you would do if you could do what you needed to do with your legal stuff. So as a fiduciary, it's part of my responsibility to know that I continue moving forward with your documents and your processes.
And you have a lot of kudos behind you. Just to get them out on the air, I just want to say a couple of them because we heard your ad just before you came on. But let's talk about that just real quickly.
So I've got a master's in business. I am a certified licensed legal document preparer. I'm a licensed fiduciary. I am a veterans benefits claim agent, a notary. What else am I on my list?
Let me put it to you this way. If you have anything that has to do with legal stuff, she can handle it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, she can handle it. You are Valley-wide?
Absolutely.
And your website is legalstuffaz.com. She's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. And when you work with people, do you do like consultations with them? How does that work?
It's different for everybody, but I do a lot of it over the phone initially, just to determine if they really need me or if they do need a higher level of legal services like an attorney, because I work with several in the Valley that I'm happy to refer to if I can't handle what you're asking.
Now, the phone number to call her direct is 602-457-2333. Again, that website is legalstuffaz.com. Well, we got Laney here. Laney, hi. Welcome to the show. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what we're going to talk about today, because I know that you happen to bring up probate, and that's really important. And I also want to talk real quickly about why people don't necessarily need to have an attorney do all of their legal stuff.
So basically what I do for Jennifer is I do mostly the estate sales, and we go in and we inventory every item in the house, and if we think it's a valuable item, we get it appraised or we sell it online. We try to get the most of the proceeds back into the estate so we can pay the bills of the estate, and then the beneficiaries get the most out of, once the estate once the bills of the estate are paid, then the beneficiaries can.
So you do that part of what you do?
I do that part of it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I love it. And we do everything from cleaning out the house to getting it ready to put on the market, because Jennifer is also a real estate agent.
You know what? There's a plethora of things that Jennifer can do, and I learn more about you every single time you come on. So, okay, let's go backwards for a second now, okay? I had mentioned probate, okay? I want to talk about that because at estate sales, sometimes probate could kind of come involved with that. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about that.
When people, it's the legal transfer of your items, your house, your car. A lot of times the personal items don't necessarily have to go through probate. But if there's something substantial value, you know what I mean, you're gonna have to account for it, especially to the heirs and everybody else involved in it.
So explain what you mean by when you come in and you will take, well, let's say somebody's arguing, right? Is that a good time to call you?
They should call me before that.
Okay.
But that's why they call me, is because they can't agree on who they want to be representative of the estate.
I can only tell you how much I wish I knew I could call somebody like you to do that, because I didn't know that. I wasn't the person in charge, and of course the person in charge wouldn't have called anyway, because they're the ones that wanted to take care of all the stuff and have it their way, right?
Well, and most people don't do everything I do. I mean, most times when you hire a fiduciary, they are paying out to have someone do estate sales, or they're paying out attorneys to create the documents for the probates. They're expending more cash than keeping it in the house if you were to do it with me.
Which then it makes it more money for the person who
Yes.
still has to write the check.
Yep.
That number to call her direct at 602-457-2333. Her website is legalstuffaz.com. She does free consultations. She's a fiduciary, and that really totally means that she is out to look for you and make sure that, first of all, she wants to make sure that all your documents are done and prepared, which I want to talk to you after the show too, because I got a few that you might want to look at too. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Her phone number again, 602-457-2333. Do we want to talk more about what probate is and want to kind of go into it more?
Well, you know, and a lot of people try to avoid it because it generally costs, you know, on an average now, $5,000 to $10,000 if you're hiring attorneys to do a probate, and it's going to take a minimum of 5 to 6 months. You can't get past that. So if you can set things up properly to begin with, you're going to save yourself your heirs, a lot of time and a lot of money.
So how long does it take, to do something like that?
Well, if you've got what we call a simple probate, where you're just transferring an and maybe a car and investment account, we can have it done with less than 5 months. You have to wait 4 months because of creditors. So in a probate, you have to notify all the creditors.
Wow, and I didn't even know that. So a lot of people may not realize that there are certain, things that you have to do because it's legal.
Absolutely.
Right? And you may not know about your legal stuff, and that's why she can help you with them. And again, you don't need an attorney. You don't necessarily need an attorney.
Not if you've got a simple one. I mean, you can try to do it yourself, but there's a lot of complications and a lot of things you have to follow. If you're not doing inventories or creditors, they're going to come back.
I'll tell you something, I wouldn't know why anyone would want to try and do it themselves in the first place.
Save money.
Well, okay, but here's the thing, when you save money, you might be losing money in the same
That's
time,
right.
because you might have to go back. And I think I told you one of the times that you were on, that my father, who thought he had everything taken care of, had a document that was separate, like a pour over type of thing, wasn't notarized, and he could have done that, called someone like you. It's simple to do. You're valley-wide, you could call her direct, and guess what? None of the problems, and there were a lot of them that happened, that I ended up losing quite a bit of money from the fact that he didn't have that one piece of paper notarized. That phone number to call her direct is 602-457-2333. Write this number down. This is the kind of thing that, it's not like we're giving away a weed whacker here and it's like, yeah, I gotta have it. This is something you might need. You never know. You might know somebody who's going through something that they might need something like this. Right, tell them about it. That's what networking is all about. 602-457-2333. Before we come back, I want to talk about someone and how important it is for someone to make sure that they have a trust. Okay?
Maybe.
Is it important for them to do it?
It just depends.
Okay, how does it depend on it? Because some people, I always thought you had to have one.
Well, back in the day when trusts were so important, with the estate tax limit was only like maybe $1 million, $500,000 to $1 million. So everyone wanted to safeguard their assets from creditors. Well, now our limit's $11 million, and gosh, it's going up to $23 million.
Listen, if I had that much, I'd be happy to be able to do it.
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to the trust because now you don't have to go through the court, but you still have the same legal requirements with creditors and with a lot of other, inventory and talking to the heirs.
I do think if you own a home, if you own property, it's also very important to make sure you might have one of those. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk further.
Okay.
Again, that number to call her direct, it is 602-457-2333. We've got our lines, not open here. You can call her direct again, 602-457-2333. It's legalstuffaz.com. Different. Yeah, like it better?
Yeah.
Like much better. It's more fun. I don't think there's anything.
We're still on Facebook, so you can.
So we're gonna talk a little bit more, okay? I wanna keep on going. We wanna talk a little bit more
You
about
need to,
this.
you have to keep that close to you. That's why I had to move it, cause he was.
We wanna make sure you're on top of it so people can hear it.
Okay.
But, it's not that they can hear it because they can hear it, but it's that they can hear you clearer, you know?
Okay.
So, okay, you go in and you help with the estate parts, the state
Yeah.
sales part of this.
Mhm.
So when, you said they should call you, when should they call you? You said it's before, obviously they fight, but when else should they call?
Right after.
Someone passes away. Usually when someone passes away, a lot of people are going through very, you know, it's distress for them. They just totally don't know what they're handling.
They're calling us the next day. They're calling us because they're so anxious, you know what I mean? They wanna make sure they don't screw anything up. They're calling attorneys, they're calling whoever they can to ask questions because they have no idea.
So when someone calls you, what are some of the typical questions that you get?
I normally ask them if they know what assets that need to be probated or what's available, because that's gonna determine the direction. So if they don't have, in Arizona, if you have less than 75,000 in personal assets, you don't have to do a formal probate.
Okay,
So-
so that's the first thing, but when they call you up in there, they say, do I need an attorney to take care of this? What is it that they ask you the most?
What do we do next? What's the first thing we do? And I always say, grieve. Take time, because you don't have to rush into anything. Just take the time to grieve. Call
Sure.
me next week, get things in order, and we'll go through stuff. But otherwise, there's nothing you can do, because you can't do anything without death certificate. You can't do anything without, any kind of legal authority.
Okay, so this is estate sales. What else can we talk about too? Facebook out there, like for instance, that you offer, that you do. You said that you're also a real estate agent. So you can take care of that part for them, so they don't have to go find someone. That was something I remember we had to do, which was to find a real estate agent as well, which is not always easy, because you have to, especially, we didn't live in the same area.
Well, not only that, but they don't know the probate process. They don't know how long it takes, or if they have to ask court permission. They don't know, a lot of things, people out here are winter visitors, so the family's not here. So what do? They come and get what they want, and they just leave everything behind, and who's gonna take care of it?
Now, when somebody is dealing with, let's say, a real estate transaction, do you also help them, let's say, if there's not a death involved?
Yes.
So they might have something that they might want you to look at?
Or they wanna downsize, or they just wanna, just,
Wow.
transition.
So there's a lot of things that you can do. Again, valley-wide for that too?
Yes.
Okay. So welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Jennifer Stupski. She's the owner of Legal Stuff. We've been talking a little bit at the break with Facebook out there that, some of the different things that you deal with when you're handling an estate sale, how you are also, a document preparer plus, plus a lot.
Plus a lot.
Right.
Whatever you need, full
And-
service.
Yeah, but full service and more. Fiduciary, not only for that as well, which I think makes it even better, but also the fact that, let's say you do have an estate and you are in a, someone has passed away, you really having somebody there that knows exactly what to do with all of these different processes, the probate and all of that, that she can actually even end up selling the house for you and making sure all of that paperwork gets done and done correctly.
Yes.
And again, she works valley-wide. She does free consultations. She's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Her phone number direct, write it down because you never know when you're going to need it. It's 602-457-2333. Okay, so what happens if someone does have a trust?
The trust, what's nice about it is that obviously there's no court intervention. But whoever the successor trustee is, they still have to notify the beneficiaries in the trust and send them copies of items and still inventory things and date of death values. There's still procedures, but you can close it a lot faster. You can transfer title of assets.
And what happens when someone says something like this? Well, Dad said I could have that. And even though it's not necessarily written down, what happens then? Does it matter at that point? It's written down, boom, that's it? Or what happens?
It just depends on the families, if they can all communicate and all agree, that's the whole outcome of this. As long as everybody's happy and they're feeling like they, got dad's wishes, taken care of.
Well, I'll tell you something though, the problem is that when things like this happen, unfortunately, people just get weird,
They do.
right?
They
I
do.
don't know why. Do you find that a lot too?
I see it
all the time.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
is just, I don't know if it's greediness or what comes out of people when
Yeah.
someone passes
Well, and
away.
they're grieving and they're angry, especially the ones that don't live near the parents. You've had the 1 or 2 children that were taking care of the parents, and the other siblings that were out of state and didn't have the handle on anything. They felt left out. They're feeling probably regret, remorse, and so they take it out, and that's what they argue about.
And they do. They argue about little things, but you know something, guys, you don't need to have that. And I love having the idea of having you come in, making sure that you don't have to have a fight, and you probably come in and your heart isn't invested in it, right? I mean, you might be invested in them as people,
Right.
but not in the objects and all of that.
Well, and that's like when we do the estate sale, everybody thinks everything's worth $1 million.
Right.
And so we have to,
We don't live in the Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
we have to bring them back to reality,
Yeah.
so.
Right.
yeah.
So, okay, let's talk a little bit about what happens if if someone doesn't have a trust, does it really go into probate? How does that, what happens to them?
If you have nothing, yeah, you'd have to go to the court to get someone appointed. But it goes through a series of people before it actually goes to the state of Arizona. I mean, you have to have absolutely no living relative before it goes to the state of Arizona.
I'm almost in that position, let me tell you. I don't have very many people around.
Well, then
You
make
know?
sure you put a charity in there. Put
Well,
somebody
let's
to
talk
benefit.
about that. Let's say, because some people don't. You know, as we get older, I'm sorry, I might hate to say this, but as we get older, we lose our people around us, you
That's
know.
right.
I lost a brother that I never thought in my wildest dreams would pass away, boom, like that. And I have another brother who was, of course, he was in charge of everything, so now, of course, that's gone. I mean, it wouldn't matter. I mean, sometimes people are gone, and they don't have anyone.
And I had a client, he had lupus, but he didn't die from lupus. And he was an engineer, he had money, never married, no kids, his parents passed away. When he passed away, he had one living relative, and it was his sister, who happened to be the ward of the state of New York. Now, the man had a disease. You would think he would have left his beneficiaries to the Lupus Society, somebody. He left nothing written. So ultimately, all of his assets, which were almost $1 million, went to his sister, who was the ward of the state. So it all went to the state of New York. It didn't even stay in Arizona.
And you know what though? Here's what first of all, I want people to understand the importance of all of this that we're talking about. It doesn't matter, I honestly, guys, it's about making sure things are done right and not having those fights, because you know, really, once you fight and you're not a family member, it breaks up the whole family for life, and it's awful.
Well, and when you're doing your legal documents, take the time to write to your kids. Write to whoever your beneficiaries are, the people you left out, and tell them why.
Can I ask you too, I know today we're talking about this, but just because you're here today and somebody might have not heard you before, besides these kind of documents, what other kind of documents can you help them with?
We talked about beneficiary deeds, that helps avoid probate, any estate planning, power of attorneys, real estate purchase contracts.
How important is it for people now to make sure that they have the power of attorney? I just want to get that out, because let me say something, guys, today's world we live in is quite different than, you know, a long time ago.
Well, and now you have to ask yourself, which power of attorney do I need? Do I need a durable? Do I need a health? Do I need a mental? In Arizona, you need all of them to take care of every situation.
Wow. I tell you something, when I talk to you, every time you come on, you bring up a little question in my mind. Also, what about people who have had documents done before? Can you help them? Like, let's say they're sitting here, and do you do second opinions? Do you do a second set of eyes on some of them?
I can look at some of them, but obviously I can't give advice.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I know if they're outdated, most people need to change their beneficiaries or update them every few years.
Mhm.
And most people don't do that. And
Right.
that's where we run into a lot of problems too.
That number to call again at 602-457-2333. Her website is legalstuffaz.com. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. She comes to you. You are valley-wide.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. She's a fiduciary, and this is what makes her different too than anyone. Otherwise, of course, your passion and how much that you can do in any area that you might need help in with your legal stuff, she can help. Any suggestions that you have for people that they can avoid all of this?
Well, we talked about the beneficiary deed. That's one way to do the house. Paid on death on bank accounts. You know, I've had people that want to put their kids on the bank accounts, and I've seen so many issues with that, because something happens to that kid, they get in an accident and they get sued, and now because their name is on mom and dad's bank account, that's part of those assets that are included in that lawsuit.
Wow.
So it's like, as long as you have a power of attorney in place, you can have that access to take care of your parents. If you wanna leave it to somebody after you pass, put the paid on death.
What else should they avoid? Anything else?
Motor vehicles, you can do a beneficiary. There's a lot of stuff, like with the credit bureaus, you should write down all of your passwords. Oh my gosh, everything's electronic.
I have to say, one thing I have to get out today, because it just happens to be I had to change my password with something today, and I just updated my 5-page password list like about 20 minutes before, and I had to change something, and now you can't even all have the same name, you know, one for one. How do you remember? I have to take a wheelbarrow around to take my.
Well, and you know, you can't leave them in your computer, because how many computers die? You have to have a hard copy.
Yeah.
But when you pass, we have no idea. We don't get statements in the mail anymore. We don't get anything. And so how do you find those assets unless we know?
You know, I think it would be great for you to also be able to come into people, let's say, that are of my age and come in and say, listen, I wanted you to do this, 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 and this, and have it all taken care of for us.
I can do it all.
I would love that. I'm going to call you. Our number is 602-457-2333. The website, again, it's legalstuffaz.com. What would be, for you today, one of the final words that you want to get out for people out there?
Scale down. Get rid of all that little stuff. And if you need help, just call us. You know, we do an auction site. We've got auctioneers. We've got appraisers that can help you downsize and just get rid of the little stuff.
So really start now when people
Yes.
that are listening. And a lot of people, I know when you get to my age, I'm starting to look at all my stuff going, what the heck, I don't need all of this anymore. You live in these big houses, 2 stories, you don't even need to be living in that, right?
That's right.
So
More to
start-
clean.
More to clean, but more, oh my God, you fall down the steps, forget it, you're done.
That's right.
But honestly, you say that the first thing that people should do is really start to downsize. I also want to include on something as well, because as I've been listening to you this month, it's made me think, and that's why I love about my show, because it makes everybody else think too. It's information for people out there about things that are important to do. I happen to bring out mine. My little estate planning thing that I have, and I would want someone like you to go ahead and check it out and make sure that everything is done right for now. But you can't just think things are done there. That's it.
That's right.
Because it doesn't end. You know, things change. You might have some issues that come up. Your life changes. And anyway, final words for today.
Get it all in order.
Get it in order, downsize, she says, and you know what? She can help you on anything when it comes to legal stuff. Even with your real estate transactions, she can also help with that too. That phone number to call her direct, it's 602-457-2333. Her website is legalstuffaz.com, and she's a fiduciary. She does free consultations, and she is valley-wide. I say get these things taken care of correctly the first time. 602-457-2333.
Nice.